Thank you very much, Mr. Antonovich. He is the chair of the MTA this year. My name's Art Leahy. I'm the CEO of the MTA. It's my honor to welcome you to Los Angeles. You are very fortunate. This is a great place that you've come to see. At MTA, we work on rail, 6 rail lines in service, a dozen projects underway. We work on buses, 2,000 buses, highways, Carmageddon. You may have heard of that as an MTA project. We're involved in goods movement, high-speed rail, as Supervisor outlined, commuter rail. We are revolutionizing this place. Today, you can do things that were inconceivable just a few years ago. Some of you won't understand how important this is, but you can take a train to Pasadena, and you can go to Colorado Boulevard, and you can see, have lunch there, and then go down the Rose Bowl and watch, for example, let's say USC beat UCLA. And then the next week, you can take a train down to Exposition Park, beautiful museums there, Rose Garden. You can see, Tyrannosaurus Rex and a mummy, and then go in the Coliseum and watch, like SC beat Notre Dame. So it's an all-purpose transit system. We're pleased to have you here. By the way, those of you who work in transit systems, you should think about coming to Los Angeles. MTA has the biggest program in the country. Forget about these little trifling places like Denver, right, Phil? And Dallas, Gary. Come to Los Angeles. We have the biggest program in the country. We have the Hollywood sign. We have beaches. We have mountains. We have great things here. I think the mayor is now here. Diego, do you know? Okay, the mayor's not here. That means that you have to be subjected to more jokes from me. I'm not kidding about LA MTA being a great place to work. Some of you were at Union Station last night. Is that not a beautiful facility? Thank you. Smack dab in the center of the place of Los Angeles, adjacent to the Pueblo, where LA was founded in 1781, adjacent to Little Tokyo in Chinatown, the Civic Center where the county Hall of Administration is, and of course, iconic City Hall. It is so wonderful. We bought the place about 1.5 years ago. Along with the station, we got 6 million square feet of entitlements. So we're right now doing work to figure out what to do with that facility. You're going to be seeing great changes there in the next 5 and 10 years as that becomes increasingly an iconic center of this county and of this city. I am so pleased that we did that. It is a beautiful facility. The board wants us to develop it. They want to bring in TOD and investment hotels, whatever it might be, an office building, but they want to do it in the context of preserving a beautiful LA place. Diego, no mayor yet, huh? So did you hear about, actually, while you're here in LA, I hope you get a chance to travel around the city. If you go to 5th and Hill, there's a subway station there. It's one of the first ones we built, and it's terrible. It's just an awful place. There's nothing there. Compare that to over here at Hollywood and Highland, or walk down Hollywood Boulevard to Vine and look at the station there. There's a W Hotel there on land that MTA owns. We've become much more sophisticated. We're developing much more beautiful stations now than we did in the past. And we see that we're really contributing to the shape and vitality of Los Angeles. We are working on cleaning up our fleet, making sure our stations are clean. By the way, we've had a terrible problem with graffiti and vandalism and debris on our freeway system. So we have a new set of initiatives to bring our freeways up to snuff, to restore the landscaping, to get rid of the graffiti, and to do a variety of things. In Los Angeles, or in California actually, we are what's called a self-help county. That means we have a sales tax. There are 3 sales taxes. The 12 rail projects and 15 highway projects we're working on are funded with Measure R. In addition to that, in California vernacular, we are a transportation commission. What that means is that we work on transportation projects of all types in LA County, as do San Diego and Orange and the Bay Area counties and so forth. The paradox is that because the voters don't trust the state as much as they did in the past, the state is very hard put to get money. On the other hand, the voters trust the county transportation commissions. When we go to them and ask for money, oftentimes they have approved that process. The sales tax measures are approved only after a 2/3 vote of the public is registered. To get a 2/3 vote and during a recession like this, of course, is very difficult. To do so, you have to make basically a contract with the taxpayers where you list a bunch of projects and then promise to get those projects done in exchange for the sales tax. In the case of Measure R, it's a 30-year sales tax, and there's a set of formulas and money allocations, funding allocations, which describe how those monies will be spent all across Los Angeles County. So to get that, when we got that on the ballot, it passed by a 68% vote in Los Angeles County in 2008 during the recession. So a great accomplishment. The paradox is that the state owns the freeway system, they manage the freeway system, but the counties have all the money. Very weird situation. So what happens is we have to negotiate with Caltrans, and we provide the state funding to improve the freeways, like to improve the 405 project, Carmageddon, to improve the I-5, to do a variety of things, all county driven. So we're kind of working our way through right now a very unusual state of affairs in which the local government has the funding as regards improving a state facility. In addition to our transit projects, we are just now beginning to evaluate two major highway projects which we think could be toll roads, could be great PPP3 projects. One would be a tunnel under Pasadena to connect two of our freeways. The details aren't important, but we think the details are not important. That's not a joke. Okay, do you guys know where Valley Boulevard is? Of course you don't. That's what I said, the details are not important. It's a project that would be self-sufficient, paid for by tolls, that would free up Measure R dollars for other projects in what's called the San Gabriel Valley. In addition to that, we're just beginning to evaluate a tunnel under the Sepulveda Pass. The Sepulveda Pass is that's the Hollywood Hills, that's where the Carmageddon project is occurring. We are contemplating going to the board in December and talking about a 12-mile tunnel that would be a 70-foot big bore tunnel with hot lanes, toll lanes to help pay for the facility, and also a light rail line. So I hope you can see from this that there's a great deal going on in Los Angeles, and MTA is really an exciting place to work. Diego, what did you do with the mayor? The mayor is here. How about that? It is now my honor to introduce a member of our board, MTA board, the mayor of Los Angeles, the second biggest city in the country, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa. Mayor?
Good morning, everybody. Let me acknowledge Congressman Earl Blumenauer. Is he here? Hey, Congressman, good to see you again. The founder of Volution, and Dan Bartholome is here. It's good to see you. Art Leahy, we just heard from. I understand some of our board of directors are here, including the chairman, Mr. Antonovich, and then Michael DePaio, new CEO of Metrolink. Let's give him a hand. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to be joined by leaders from across the nation, all united by a common purpose, the desire to build a new generation of livable communities. Now, I've enjoyed watching this conference and organization grow and mature over the years. Since 1989, you've been a tireless proponent of policies that move our cities into the future. And I'm particularly pleased that this year's conference is back here in the City of Angels. And of course, as I always do, I encourage you to shop, to go to our restaurants, to contribute to the local economy as much as you can. You know, you're here in Hollywood, and 10 years ago, the average tourist who came to Hollywood was here for about 22 minutes, and now they stay 2 days. If you go through Hollywood, you could see it's clean, it's safe. It's safer than any time since 1952 on a per capita basis. So have a good time and enjoy this city on transit, and particularly this neighborhood. It's fitting that you're here because if ever there was a city that's rethinking and reimagining not just its transportation network, but its neighborhoods, it's the city of LA. And I'm sure you know it wasn't always this way. We've had to take a number of steps to get LA moving again. It wasn't easy to shake our history as the home of the freeway and the land of the Range Rover. But 4 years ago, we took an historic leap forward, a step that would reshape and reimagine the LA region. That story would not be possible without the faith of the people of LA. 2008, we went to them with a bold proposition, a half-penny sales tax increase to fund $40 billion worth of transportation projects across LA County. We were met by a chorus of cynics and skeptics, and I understand that you heard from one of them just a few minutes ago. There were those who said our ideas were too bold, our innovation ill-conceived. After all, our timing could not have been worse. It was November of 2008. The bottom had just fallen out of the economy, and families were rightfully pinching every penny they could. But you know what? The people of LA didn't let us down. They chose long-term growth over short-sighted concerns. They passed Measure R, and today we're seeing the transformative effects of that effort. We're doubling the size of our rail network. If you hop on to the new Expo Light Rail line on a USC game day, you'll experience a city that literally is shifting under our feet. That's what happens when you provide metro access to the west side for the first time in more than 60 years. We're building safer and stronger highways. Soon you'll be able to enjoy the nation's longest continuous carpool lane along the nation's busiest freeway, the 405. And we're raising the bar on bus service. If you ride the new Orange Line extension, you'll meet Valley residents who now have a one-seat ride from North Hollywood to Chatsworth. This is what happens when we dream together of the LA we want, not the LA we have. Now, the catalytic effects of Measure R are being felt far beyond LA County. That's because we didn't keep the secrets of our success to ourselves. We shared them. And I do want to mention the congressman once again. You know, when we started knocking on doors about accelerating 30 years of funding, and let me start. You know, almost from the beginning, we had the same people who opposed Measure R slow us down. They knew that we had to implement Measure R with a long-range plan. And so for a year, they slowed us down. They did everything to get around what the people had already decided. In the end, we got it passed with a unanimous vote. But it was an uphill ride. And so from almost the beginning, people would ask me, Mayor, what happened to your subway? What happened to the doubling of the rail system that you talked about? And I'd have to explain in town halls, well, ma'am, this is a half-penny sales tax generating $40 billion over 30 years, not a 10-cent sales tax over a smaller period of time. But that woman and people like her and the delays that we had because of the cynics caused us to think, what if we accelerated this? What if we accelerated 30 years of funding in a 10-year period of time? So we started knocking on doors. And one of the first doors we knocked on was Congressman Blumenauer's. And we said, we got an idea. At a time of high deficits and debt, at a time of bitter partisanship and polarized debate, why don't you all expand a current transportation loan, low-interest loan program and allow us to bond against, use those loans, accelerate our projects. We also proposed a bond program that didn't get off the ground, but we were able, over time, to get bipartisan support for that effort. We talked to mayors across the country, and initially, almost all of them, I was president of the Conference of Mayors at the time, almost all of them said, no, I'm not looking for a loan program. I want a full funding grant agreement. I want New Start money. I want money from the surface transportation bill. And I had to explain, well, they've extended, at that time, the surface transportation bill 4 times. I think by the end it was 11 times. And they didn't increase the gas tax the way they should have to fully fund that fund. And so we said, a loan program's the best we're going to be able to do. And we were able to get more than 200 mayors across the country behind a robust TIFIA program, low-interest transportation loan fund, and created what we now call America Fast Forward. And by spearheading that effort, working tirelessly to make it a part of federal law, we've made the model of our local success a source of national success. With America Fast Forward, local governments across the country have a powerful new tool they can use to jumpstart the development of their transit systems. It will enhance the mobility of their residents. It will increase the connectivity of their communities. It will put people to work building the bridges, roads, and rails that are key to a prosperous future. Now, over the next 2 years, America Fast Forward will make $1.75 billion in flexible, low-interest federal loans available to these cities. Just last week, we celebrated a $545 million TIFIA loan that will accelerate our Crenshaw LAX line. Loans like that can be leveraged by localities on a 10-to-1 ratio. They'll put 1 million Americans back to work. The surface transportation bill either preserves or expands 2 million jobs. The TIFIA program alone, $1.75 billion investment, leverages another $1 million. Cities will be able to measure traffic relief in years as opposed to generations, and America Fast Forward has helped move LA forward. Now, our work's not done. If our history has shown us anything, it's that we must dare to be bold. We must come together to realize an ambitious vision for a shared future. That audacity must only be matched by our tenacity and our tireless commitment to a better tomorrow. This November, we're going to ask Angelenos to once again step up to the plate and invest in the city we all love. We're asking them to pass Measure J. Now, Measure J doesn't just accelerate our investments, it turbocharges them. It allows us to complete all of the Measure R projects in 1 decade instead of 3. That means the Wilshire Subway, the Regional Connector, the East Side extension of the Gold Line, the Green Line extension to the South Bay Corridor, the Green Line extension to LAX will all arrive by 2023. That's 20 years ahead of schedule, not on time, ahead of time. Now, the benefits of these investments will be felt by all who call LA home. Measure J will put over 410,000 Angelenos back to work, building the next chapter in our city's history. It will make it cheaper for Angelenos to get to work, putting more money in the pockets of people who really need it. And it will make it quicker for Angelenos to get to work so they can spend more time doing the things that really matter. Now, with unemployment stubbornly above 10%, and with the construction trades currently at an unemployment rate of about 35%, Measure J puts hundreds of thousands of people to work without increasing taxes. All Measure J does is extend the sunset date of Measure R from 2039 to 2069. It'll allow us to bond against future years and build our system now. Now I know this will shock you, but there's the same familiar chorus of cynics and skeptics who have already begun spinning and sniping. They do it all the time. And by the way, they're always the first to spend the money. Always. They'll say that this investment in our future, that we can't afford it. They'll say that this is an investment in our future that we don't need. They'll say this is an investment in our future that we must vote down, and they will be wrong. They've clearly forgotten the lessons of Measure R. Because when you give Angelenos the opportunity to live up to the best of their ideals, they won't let you down. They'll invest in a future defined by connected communities, not smog-filled streets. They'll vote for reduced air pollution and a shrinking carbon footprint. They'll support a new foundation for a new economy. But they also know that building a transportation network of the future is only the first step in realizing the city we endeavor towards. The next step is reimagining how neighborhoods and transit connect to one another. You know, we said from the beginning, this isn't just about building public transportation. It isn't just about reducing congestion and reducing our carbon footprint. This is about taking advantage of transit corridors and creating a new city. You know, this city, I don't have to tell you, is the city that invented sprawl. We disconnected and destroyed a very robust transportation system that we had, a public transportation system that we had in the 40s and 30s and early 50s, and we built a freeway system second to none. Most of the housing was on the perimeter, most of the jobs in the inner core. We're going to leverage the investments that we're making to their full potential, and we're going to institutionalize a new mindset in the city, a mindset that stresses the fundamental linkage between mobility, livability, and opportunity. We must make this mindset a parcel of the standard operating procedure in our city. And for this reason, I've directed the city departments to develop a coordinated strategy for making the most of our growing transit infrastructure. LA will be the first city to institute a transit corridors cabinet to execute this strategy because we can't afford to wait. What we used to do in LA, what we did here, we built a system, I think in 1992, and we didn't start developing around these transit stations, do the planning and the entitlements 10, 15 years later. Well, we're changing that. We can choose, we're at an historic crossroads with an historic opportunity. We can choose to reimagine the essential link between economic development, transportation, and housing policy. If we do, we can promote public health and livability by creating pedestrian-friendly, bike-able communities. The good news, we're already well on our way. Through key pieces of legislation like the Hollywood Community Plan, we're making that choice to rethink one of our city's flagship communities. Through the city's bike plan, we're building 1,600 miles of bikeways. And let me say something about, we're doing 10 times the bike lanes that we used to do. And we just, you know, in this fight, we don't just take on the right, we take on the left. It used to be that we had to do an EIR to do a bike lane. So I went to the legislature and I said, are you kidding me? I mean, come on. I couldn't get a Democrat to carry the bill. I like to say it's broken on both sides, and it is. Couldn't get a Democrat to carry the bill. I got a Republican, thankfully. I got it out of the legislature. I got the governor to sign it, and it's the kind of smart thing we got to do. Come on, to restripe a lane, an EIR. But later this week, we're all going to hear some exciting news from the League of American Bicyclists about the progress we're making here in our city. And if any of you have seen our Ciclavia, we were probably the last city, big city, I know Portland's been doing it for years. We were probably the last big city to replicate what Bogota does, where they close down their streets and, let everybody get on a bike or walk or rollerblade or whatever. But I'll tell you something. If you were at the last one, and any of you seen it, upwards of 200,000 people. I don't know another city that has that number of people. And one of the columnists critiqued, this is getting too big. People, you saw it during Karma Heaven, people want to get out of their car. They want to create a new streetscape. They want to enjoy their neighborhoods, and that's the opportunity we're going to give them. So over the last 7 years, we've made some key investments to expand LA's role as a leading innovation hub in the global economy. We want to create the ecosystem that will attract the businesses of the future with the jobs of the future. The employees of the future will need housing options. They'll need transit options. They'll want livable, walkable neighborhoods. So for the sake of our economic vitality, for the sake of sustainability, for the sake of the next generation of Angelenos, we're going to continue to advance a comprehensive housing, jobs, and transportation vision in this city. We must back this vision up with good policies and the smart investment of city, state, and federal dollars. The future for LA is well within reach. It's a future we've worked toward over the last 7 years. Now is not the time to look back. It's not the time to heed the call of our cynics and skeptics. It's certainly not the time to revert to our old ways. Instead, we must look towards the horizon and imagine an LA beyond sprawl. Imagine the prosperity that we know is possible, the connectivity that creates communities, the sustainability that powers smart cities. Now's the time to ensure this future to become our reality. Together we can. Thank you very much.
That's a wrap for this session. Just for those who are planning to go to the Film Fest, there's a bus leaving at 5 and 5:30, and have a great day.